Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we'll be talking about the spell Globe of Invulnerability.
Invulnerability? You can't be in. You can be invincible with a 6th level spell slot, Bob. That's crazy. Is that a lie? Because it's actually a lie.
All right. It does not make you invulnerable.
It does no
That's
such
the
thing.
point.
Yes.
What does it do?
It gives you a little anti-magic bubble. Basically, this is a 6th level spell slot with concentration on it, which is, it's tall order. It takes an action to cast, which is fine and dandy. It requires you need to have a good supply of crystal or glass beads on you, which I think is neat because they break whenever it's done. But it's just entirely like a valueless somatic or a material component. What it does is it gives you a 10-foot radius shimmering barrier that extends around you that negates any incoming spell of 5th level or lower cast from outside of the barrier. So if you have a 10-foot barrier and someone throws a 4th level fireball, it will ignore the sphere will mitigate whatever contact the fireball has that would go within it. Because the fireball's got a bigger radius than it can still explode outside beyond the sphere, but what's in the sphere will not be affected. Even this includes upcasting, right? So even if they cast a 7th level fireball, because it's a 3rd level spell using a 7th level slot, it negates all of the effects of it. So you can't upcast through this at all, which is neat. So it says such a spell can target creatures and objects in the barrier, but they just have no effect. Similarly, the area within the barrier is excluded from area of effect of such spells. Exactly like the fireball example, right? And then you can upcast this at 7th level to ignore 6th level or lower, 7th, 8th, 6th level or lower, 8th, 7th level or lower, 9th, 8th level or lower.
It's like a cone, and you got yourself in the barrier, but someone's behind the barrier. Will the cone pick up where the barrier ends, or will it just radiate out from the sides?
All that this spell says is that things outside the barrier don't affect things inside the barrier. Things inside the barrier can affect things inside the barrier. So if something runs within 10 feet of you and then casts a lightning bolt at you, it will come directly through you and shoot out the other side of that barrier perfectly fine. The only thing that is mitigating here is a inch thin barrier of anti-magic that will stop it. You can fire out cone of colds from this, no problem. This is a one-way mirror. This goes one direction.
I understand that. I'm just saying, all right, if somebody casts the lightning bolt, does it go through the barrier? And out the other side?
I believe rules is written. Yes, I believe rules is written. The spell exists there. No one is simply affected by it. So a fireball centered on this will still explode out. Just everyone within the 10 feet doesn't feel a thing, and everything around outside the 10 feet does.
Okay.
I believe that's how rules is written. It works. Rules is intended. I don't know. I think it's a little bit more ambiguous, but that'll be something you have to work out with your DM.
Yeah. What do you think about this one, though?
This is super cool. This is a neat little puzzle that I think is. I like anti-magic field a lot. I actually like anti-magic field a little bit more than this because I think it's a little bit worse, but it's a little bit more interesting. Because with the anti-magic field, no magic works no matter where you are as long as it affects the area. Nothing in it can use magic against you, but you can't use magic either. It's a really neat little give and take. This is more often going to be way, way better because if you're ever in ranged caster duels or just fighting something with large quantities of magic, it only affects spells. So like breath weapons stuff will still roast you. Magical effects will still get and work in here. But if you're against, again, something with this spell slots, this negates a lot of meaningful ones, which can be very powerful and something that you're going to be happy to throw up as a defense. This basically says use your high-level magic or get Wreck Scrub. This shuts off counter spells from the enemies. This shuts off all of the little high-level magic interactions that you would normally care about interacting with. What's particularly notable about it is if you are in a really powerful gaming table where counter spells are flying around like crazy, this says, counter this or you're not countering anything I do for the rest of this minute because I will have counter spells up for the rest of the time and you can't spend a 8th level counter spell to counter my 7th level spell anymore. That just doesn't work. You can't make those trades. I can always get outside of that. So like from a power gaming perspective, this spell has a lot of utility and is very powerful in specific circumstances, and those spells are good to exist. I think it's very niche in that if you're against, an ogre, if you're against anything without spell slots, this does nothing, which is probably good. At the same time, like comparing it to anti-magic field, I probably should have mentioned this when I talked about anti-magic field because Globe of Invulnerability makes the anti-magic field a lot worse.
What's the other globe that it's actually the hamster ball one.
I think it's Wall of Force.
No, it's not Wall of Force. This is because that's oh, shucks.
It could be anything. Force Gauge is a little bit different.
Force Cage. Shucks. Was it Resilient Sphere?
That sounds right as well.
Let me look that up.
I know that you can make a sphere with
Yeah,
Wall
human
of Force.
hamster ball. Right, but
Resilient Sphere also is a giant indestructible ball, which is neat.
yeah, that one perhaps would be better called Globe of Invulnerability.
And this spell would be better called Resilient Sphere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the name really annoys me. I've had players take it before and not understand exactly how it worked. They thought they couldn't be affected by anything outside of it and specific magic. And I've had people like wildly miss the point of the spell and think it's like, oh, I'll take this on my Abjurer and be in the front lines with it. No, that's not really what you want this for. The name is dumb. I hate this name so much. I hate spells that don't say what they do on the tin, but the actual effects here are pretty good.
Yeah, if you're in a wizard battle, this would be a cool one.
Yeah. It's handy to have.
Got anything more to say about it?
Well, I mean, if you
Go
see
ahead.
the enemy wizard starting to cast something, depending on how your counter spells work at your game, you really, really don't want this to happen. If you're going to counter something, countering Globe of Invulnerability is pretty important, especially again in those high-level wizard battles. I think most tables aren't that. I think most tables are going to find the spell to be incredibly lackluster because most monsters don't have spell slots. That's like the older editions, a lot more monsters tend to have spells, and in some of the newer printed materials, we're seeing more monsters with spells. But a lot of monsters have like 1 or 2 magical abilities and some attack rolls. I think the game's a little bit more interesting whenever we have a higher density of cool, interesting abilities and spells on monsters.
Magical abilities are not affected, right?
Correct. This only affects specifically spells, which means this, I think, more oftentimes is a powerful tool for DMs to leverage. So, like, if you're a DM that has a really powerful wizard that's just been ruining your life and making every encounter feel impossible, give a big bad Globe of Invulnerability. It's concentration, so that you can have like the teamwork of the Rangers pick it down, and then as it goes down, the wizard fireballs as a reaction with a prepped action, something like that. Like, there's going to be some neat little play to working as a cooperative team to get the wizard online to kill more things. It can be kind of countermeasures. You also might have like other, if you're in the super high tiers, you might have like casters that exist specifically to cast Globe of Invulnerability while near their boss, and their boss is just, you are all my concentration slots that are going to be concentrating on your own Globes of Invulnerability, so they have to shut down 4 of us instead of 1 of us. So like there are going to be ways that you can stack pretty powerful encounters with this against specifically casters. The martial characters will really get to shine and absolutely wreck house with whatever's in them, though, because they're spending big spell slots and actions doing nothing for them. So that's, again, it's something to consider and pull out every once in a while. I think at most tables that are here to have a good time, have some beers, have some laughs, make some bad puns, and just do cool things with characters they like, this spell is pretty bad. If you can just, like, as a sorcerer, you probably can't afford to put this on your known spells because sorcerers have really tight amount of spells. They don't get a huge quantity to like delve into niche options like this. Wizards, it's pretty inoffensive to stick this in your spell book. It's one of the 2 you get every level up, so it's like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll throw this in my spell book whenever we private, whenever we're going to fight the magical wizard duel guy. But if you're at the superpower metagaming or superpower gaming tables with like big full casters all over the place, this spell's great. If you are anywhere else, meh, you probably don't need this.
All right, well, that means I probably don't need this.
Yeah, I think most people won't. I know I don't play at tables where I think I've again played like a handful of very much, all right, we're playing here to power game, we're seeing exactly how much we can get out of this edition, we're seeing how much we can push this game, we're making the, the crit fishing builds, we're making the paladin that one shots with 3 level dip and assassin to do like 300 damage with a single attack and dump all their resources into it. Like, I've played that table like 2 or 3 times in my life. I don't think it's most players, so for that reason,
you gotta rate it.
Yeah, this is a 2. At those tables, this is a 4, maybe even a 5. It's something that really matters. At lower level tables, no one gives. This is not gonna come up almost ever. It's nifty. It's not as like anti-magic field hits so many more things that I'm maybe more inclined to say this is interesting and you should try it out. Global Vulnerability only cares about spells. It only cares about lower level spells.
Lower level than itself.
Yeah.
You can upcast it, right?
You can. So if you want to get 8th level slots and under, this is a decent 9th level spell, I guess. 9th level spells are probably going to be more powerful than this. Like, you're going to want to cast Meteor Rain. You're going to want to cast True Polymorph, right? This seems more fun. Wish seems cooler than this.
All right, I am going to be optimistic again, and not as much as I have been, but I'm going to give this one a 3. I think you're going to be running into more spellcasters, and I think you'll find uses for this one.
I think if this is in your spell book, you will probably find a handful of encounters for the remainder of your game where you'll be like, I'm glad I prepared Globe of Invulnerability. I do think you'll find more often than not, though, you'll be like, man, I can't believe I wasted preparing this.
I like the one-way mirror. I like nothing comes in, but I can fire spells out.
It is
That
a very,
appeals to me.
it feels like a very low cost once it's up. Like once you spend the slot on it, it's like, oh, I still can do whatever I want, and I've just protected. I've got like a guarantee blanket against that nonsense, and that's comfortable.
All right. Well, that was Globe of Invulnerability. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.